This is the CarterCast, the pre-proposal show for dating couples designed to make engagement ring shopping easy, understandable, and fun. You can get the 4 C's anywhere, but only here can you get the 5th C, called Carter. I'm Josh, and this is CGA GG, former president of the AGS, and Jack Lewis Jewelers CEO John Carter.
That's a long introduction.
We're in the new CarterCast studio.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Custom-made set.
Great job.
Check it out.
So great.
It's like we're legit now.
We've been doing this for a while.
We have.
It's almost like we know what we're doing.
Almost. New studio, new decor, same old jokes.
Beautiful. the jokes have not improved.
Same mediocre
we have
quality
rocks
of content.
out now. We have some of my rocks from the store.
We do.
Some of my faves.
Got some whiskeys.
Got some whiskey. In case conversation runs low.
Always good.
Yeah.
Which
Break out
could
a
happen.
little smoke wagon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. Got the
custom sign.
Custom metal lighted sign.
Man, Josh, you are big time, baby.
You, sir, are big
that's
time.
true. It's not Josh Cast.
That's correct.
It does say CarterCast.
It does. It's your name right there on it.
Yeah. It's very impressive.
Yes.
Thanks for having me to my new studio.
Absolutely. New lights and new cameras and same old action.
Yeah.
Just the same as it's always been.
Same old banter.
Same old banter.
Let's banter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we talk about diamonds and engagement rings on this show sometimes.
Yeah.
Expanded topics coming soon, possibly.
Hopefully.
In future episodes.
Yeah. Never know.
Well, you talk about diamonds and engagement rings, and I tend to nod and smile and pretend that you're making sense, which you typically
He
do.
knows more than he lets on.
I try.
Yeah.
I try. We have mugs. as well.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about our mugs.
We might make the mugs a thing.
I think the mugs are a thing.
This season, featuring potentially places that we like, maybe local places, but also just generally places. So
Tell me about your mug.
So this is not local, oddly enough, as we start. This is Modern Times, the Modern Times mug that we got in San Diego. Wonderful San Diego craft brewery. San Diegans. San Diegoans?
It's a good thing we don't have a teleprompter. San Diego.
We would read everything on it.
I for sure do.
They brew their own coffee and they do wonderful craft beer out in San Diego. Modern Times, shout out. And
I love San Diego.
It's great.
Well, Josh, one of my favorite local businesses that is not so local, as much as they are basically international.
I suppose.
Based here for sure. But
I suppose so.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is here on the CarterCast set. Thank you, State Farm. We always appreciate State Farm here in Bloomington, Illinois.
You have to. I think it's a requirement to live here.
It's a requirement, but even if it wasn't, I would anyway.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Why not?
They really are a good neighbor.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk shop. Let's talk
do
things.
It.
So it's current year and Google is still a thing. So on today's show, we're going to have some fun with topics generated by Google AutoFill. You know how you start typing something into the Google machine and it predicts the rest of what it thinks you want. Those autofills are based on what other people are searching for. So we figured let's trust the people, answer the questions they are apparently asking. It'll be somewhat rapid fire, so maybe a couple minutes on each question. We'll go through maybe 10 or so of them, maybe some bonus, we'll see. So today's Google search begins, do engagement rings
blank.
Yeah, blank. So type in, do engagement rings fill in the blank. So we're going to fill in the blanks.
Okay.
So before the show, I typed in do engagement rings into Google. Tried to finish my sentence with a bunch of auto-populated results. I wrote down 10 of those autofill searches, and these are the questions.
So this is what's on the minds of the people.
This is what's on the minds of the people.
All right.
So they are.
I am a man of the people.
You are. They are eagerly awaiting your insight and wisdom.
As a man of the people, I think I can speak for my people. Let's see how we do.
As their king, their diamond king. Question number one from the Google autofill responses.
Yes.
Do engagement rings
Do they
go on the left hand? Do engagement rings go on the left hand? Yeah. Why? Sorry. What was that again?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Why?
Thank you. Good show.
All right, everybody. That's it. Wrap it up. Why do we wear it on the left hand? Do you know?
I believe in. It goes back a long way. I believe in ancient times.
Yeah.
That it was either the Romans or the Egyptians. I don't remember, Josh. I've been doing this a long time, and I've read these things along the way. At some point in my
But you were not around
Gemological Institute of America training when I was becoming a gemologist, and there was the ancients believed that there was an artery in your left ring finger that was connected to your heart. So if you wore a piece of jewelry there, it wasn't always diamonds.
Okay.
Could have just been a gold band. It could have been a ruby. It could have been anything that was adorned that finger. that they viewed that as a way of connecting the hearts between the two people who were in love. I think that turned out to not be true. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor.
What the people weren't connected by?
Well, no, that probably
the
is still
thing.
true, but I don't know that there's actually an artery or vein. There'll be probably comments in the comment section telling us how.
Oh, people will let you know if you're wrong. That's
it is YouTube. Yes, I do read the comments.
That's your first mistake.
Yes,
Shouldn't do
but
that.
I believe that is why, and so still to this day, I mean, if you think about it, thousands of years. Our ancestors have done that before us. So that's actually really, if you're a student of history, as we both are,
Sure.
It's a tradition that connects us to the people who came before. I think it's still a nice sentiment.
I like it too. One of the things I was looking at just as Googling is it seems like some people almost because of that who maybe don't want to go for the tradition will do it on the right hand, kind of on purpose, just because it's kind of not traditional. I think there's also a few places around the world that don't do it on the left hand.
That's right.
For kind of cultural reasons, from what I understand.
Yep.
But yeah, for the most part, I think ancient Rome was where it started.
And there's still culturally, there's some nations that they'll do certain gemstones of certain purity, and they must be touching the skin. So it can't just hover above the skin in a ring in a setting. It has to physically be touching the skin. In Indian culture, for instance, it's very important. Rubies of very pure quality, or yellow topaz, I believe, is another one. And the fewer inclusions, the better. The higher quality, the color, the better. That's very important that it actually touches the skin, because it connects you even more to the gemstone and to the earth in which it came. It's really there are a lot of beautiful traditions around the world and throughout history, some of which are incorporated into mainstream Western culture, and some are not. But it's actually pretty fascinating.
That's cool. Awesome. All right, question number 2 from Google Autofill.
That felt like two.
It was just one. Question number 2 from Google Autofill. Do engagement rings need to be approved by my girlfriend?
That came up.
It did, for sure. What is most common? Do couples shop together? Does the proposer?
Well, I would like to specifically know the person that typed the questions, because I don't know enough about their girlfriend.
That's true.
I think it depends on the girlfriend.
That's actually a really good answer.
I think that's the diplomatic answer.
That is the correct answer.
I think what I would say about that is couples in any form. It is extremely common anymore for us to have the initial consultation at the counter with the couple together. Some couples will purchase together that day. Some couples want at least some element of surprise, so the purchaser comes back at another time. What's important in that initial meeting is that the person who is doing the proposing wants to know what style, what center stone, do they want a diamond? Other things that can come into play for that. That initial meeting really becomes about that. Is that necessary? No, because a lot of times in today's social media world too, oftentimes I am just meeting with the purchaser who just has Pinterest or an Instagram account that they're showing me things that person shares. And that's a really good place to start too, because that'll tell you. And then, let's face it, almost nobody just gets engaged without discussing it. You kind of know that the other person is probably going to say yes.
It's a risk if you don't know that.
I don't know, honestly, man, in 20, how long have I been doing this? A long time. In nearly 30 years of doing this, I don't think I've ever seen that happen, where somebody just comes in to get an engagement ring and they don't know that the other person knows it's coming. They've at least discussed it.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's your friend Carter's advice. At least discuss getting engaged first. It's a good conversation to have. It's a good conversation. That's a life lesson. You're going to learn life lessons on CarterCast.
You will.
I'll be 48 years old next month, so I know a thing. I know a thing or two.
You know a thing or two about life lessons.
About life lessons. Not just engagement rings. But you're usually discussing it, and typically in those discussions, that other person may say, I want a princess cut diamond. I really love a round. I'm not an oval person. So there's hints in there. And as you know, the key to any relationship is listening. This is one of those those important conversations, because that ring is more than just a ring. We've talked about this on this show.
Yeah.
It is something that person will wear every day for the rest of their lives. It should be something probably that they have some input on. So, should the ring be approved by your girlfriend? She's probably going to have some input. I probably could have just said that.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
Save Nick a lot of editing.
Number 3, next question from the Google autofill results. Do engagement rings need to have diamonds? I think some people are curious about this.
Yeah.
Is that something still expected these days, still common? Do engagement rings need to have diamonds?
I think if we're starting this conversation where it says, do engagement rings need? Let's focus on the need for a second.
Okay.
And we could almost do a strike through on the need. There's no need in any of this, right? There's no, just because tradition dictates one thing doesn't mean that that's right for that couple. So does it need a diamond? I prefer diamonds in an engagement ring. That was mine and my wife's choice for her engagement ring. As we've talked about in previous episodes of CarterCast, is there are other gemstones you can use, but the necessary characteristic of any engagement ring is something you can wear every single day. A diamond can be worn every single day, right? Because it's the hardest substance known to man. Right. So if you're choosing something different, a gemstone, if you do just a gold band, platinum band, even a silver band, something like that, you don't need any gemstones. Those can be worn every day. You're not going to have any problems with those, probably. But if you're choosing a colored stone of some variety, you need to make sure it without getting too specific on that, because we've done an entire episode just on that, you want to pay attention to something that has the necessary hardness to be worn every single day. And there are not many gemstones that actually possess that.
My guess when a question like that comes up in the autofill is I try to wonder, like, what's somebody thinking that they were typing that? And my guess is maybe they don't want to have diamonds.
Right.
Like they have an idea like, hey, maybe it'd be cool to do some other kind of ring, but is the expectation that it should have diamonds? Like, does this need to have diamonds? Like, that's kind of what I imagine someone being confused about as they're typing is they don't necessarily want a diamond. They want something cool, but aren't sure if like that's breaking protocol to go off the grid without a diamond.
And I think it goes back to that point that it's your ring, and the person buying its opinion isn't unimportant because they're going to see it the second most.
Yeah.
So they have to love it too. But paying attention to some of those keys and those clues that we talked about a minute ago, there is no need. There's no need to do this or to do this because thousands of years before you, people have done X or they did Y. Yeah. It is your engagement ring. The your is the important part of that, not does it need to be a certain thing. Do I need to spend 2 months' salary? Do I need to do these things? You do not need to do any of those things. There is no law passed as of yet that says that your engagement ring must meet certain specifications.
Give it time. There will be a law passed.
Soon.
Great segue to the next question.
Okay.
Next Google autofill question number 4. Do engagement rings have to be expensive? And I think this is the idea here about that, the tradition of how many months' salary the ring should cost. You know, my guess is that's what somebody's thinking about when they're typing that question. How expensive does it have to be? And is there that standard of the salary thing? So what is that? Where does that come from? Is that still a thing?
So the 2-month salary thing came from De Beers in the 40s, right? So when the GIs were returning from the war, this is kind of a thing that I think gets lost in the story of diamonds. Everybody chalks 2 months salary and as a diamond is forever is just a brilliant marketing campaign. It was. You and I've talked a lot about that over the years. It is a brilliant campaign, but 2 months salary was also a way to, as the GIs were coming back, the diamond of the day back then was 1/3 of a carat. So that was the chosen, 1/3 of a carat round diamond was the piece that was chosen to put into a ring and to be worn on the finger to celebrate love. Why that's important from a historical perspective is because not only did those GIs just saved the world, and that's important, of course, but what also happened at the end of the war? Everyone had just survived a depression. And if you talk to anybody, if anybody out there has a grandparent or a great-grandparent who survived the depression, one of the things that was important, the reason why diamonds became a symbol, not just because of an ad campaign, most definitely helped, but it was because then they could always have something of value on their finger. Something, if times became hard, it was something that they could sell. And we don't like to think about that when you're buying an engagement ring because you're really just focused on loving the other person.
Sure.
But that is true, and that is why diamonds became a symbol of that, because unlike colored stones and things like that, which can ebb and flow a little bit and are very difficult to have any sort of resale value, and no, you're not going to pay $1,000 for a diamond and sell it for $1,500. You'll get a fraction of what you paid when you do that, but it's worth something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so the 2-month salary came into play because at that time, 1/3 of a carat diamond was about 2 months' salary for the average person.
So it was so the salary thing was based on the size of the diamond that people wanted to get, which was 1/3. So that's kind of that was the genesis of it. And then it just so happened that that cost was 2 months' salary for most.
And
most
it was a way for when the customer walked into a jewelry store, like Jack Lewis, who was around in those days. Sure. Obviously, we were founded in 1927, so we would have been a beneficiary of that process. But when somebody walked in, and if they already knew 2 months' salary in their head, they didn't have sticker shock. Sticker shock causes embarrassment. Sticker shock causes an awkward conversation at the counter, which is not a good thing that you want to see. Yep. So if they walked in just knowing, okay, I'm going to spend about 2 months' salary, and of course some people said, I can't afford 2 months' salary. I want to spend 2 weeks' salary, or I want to spend 1 week, or I want to spend, some people say I want to spend a year's salary. It again, there's no need or rules to any of this. It's just a guideline. So does it need to be expensive? No, it doesn't need to be expensive. I don't encourage that. I think you should live. You and I are both believers of that concept. You live within your means, and that does not apply to your engagement ring.
Right. So back then in the 40s, when everybody was coming back from the war, the standard was 3rd carat. Now, would you say the standard is 1 carat?
No, I wouldn't say that that's the. I think it will be different. In different demographics, like in different not demographics, in different areas of the country and parts of the world. Sure. Yes, I think the average diamond engagement ring in Beverly Hills is probably different than it is in parts of Wyoming, right? I mean, I think that can vary.
Right.
I would say for us, it's probably anywhere from 3/4 of a carat to about 1.5 carats is really what we sell the most of. Yes, a carat falls right into the middle of that. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that the average diamond that we sell is 1 carat. I would say it's probably just under. So maybe 80, 90 points. We sell a lot of 90s in our store because we really like the way that the 90 hits this kind of sweet spot where it looks like a 1 carat, but it helps the client save a lot of money. Because what's important is that everybody walks through the door saying, I have $5,000 to spend, or I have $2,500 to spend. I have $500 to spend. What can I get? What's the best I can get for that money? Right. And then that's where we can get into some conversations about, oh, hey, if you go just a little bit smaller or go a little bit lower color and clarity than you were thinking, you're going to get a little bigger diamond, and the average person isn't going to see the difference.
Right. Okay. I like it. Question number 5, Google autofill. We're going through Google autofill stuff when you start typing do engagement rings and then what comes up next. So next one, number 5, do engagement rings ever go on sale? Was interesting. So what could cause a store like Jack Lewis to put a ring on sale? Like what would that even mean? The style is older, not as popular of the ring. Like what would it mean for a ring to go on sale? Like if somebody's searching, because again, it makes sense why someone would search for that. Maybe you're waiting for a sale of something. So what does that mean for a ring to go on sale?
Yeah, the concept of sale is an interesting thing in the world of jewelry because there are retail operations where the piece of jewelry is almost always on sale. So it's $4,000, but today, because it's Super Tuesday, it's $2,000. And that piece is almost never $4,000. It's almost always just $2,000. So we actually battle this as a store that doesn't have a lot of sales or discount things a lot. We believe in truth and pricing, right? So if somebody comes in, yes, there are definitely opportunities and ways to save money, which I'll talk to. But one thing to be aware of and to want to avoid is, does that business just regularly have sales? Is the sale the exception or is it the rule in that business? That's something to pay attention to. At one point, and I don't know if this is, I don't remember if this is still true or not, but in where we are in the state of Illinois, I think that a piece needed to only be regular price for like 28 days out of a month. In order to technically qualify as being, it could still be on sale. Yeah, I don't know if that's still true. That bit of information might be years old, and maybe but the point is,
you have been doing this a long time.
I have been doing this a long time, and I'm not necessarily up to my state codes in every state of the union.
Who can blame you?
And I don't pay much attention to that one because we don't regularly have sales. Because we believe, if we're selling something for $4,000, we've priced it pretty fairly. We believe it's worth $4,000. if a piece, and you're saying, so in a store like ours,
Yeah.
what is a sale? It's
Yeah.
not that we've never had sales.
Right.
We, as you know, we rarely have sales,
Right.
but every few years or so, we might have inventory that we've had for just too long of a period of time. Those things can be 20% off. They might be 50% off.
Yeah.
They might be 70% off. So yes, there are opportunities to save money. And there might be opportunities in certain businesses if you come in and say, look, this is really the diamond I want. I only have $5,000 to spend, and this one gets me into $6,000. Is there any? Can we work on it? Can we finance it? Can we do things like that? I think most businesses will work with you a little bit, but just know that if the ring is coming out to be $6,000, and if you offer $2,000, that's not a rational approach for that.
But that point you made earlier about if you're the idea of waiting for a sale, so if you're someone who only decides you have X to spend on this engagement ring, and you start doing the Google stuff, looking around, seeing what ads are catching your eye, because of that psychological effect that when you're in the market for something, you start seeing it everywhere, and you start seeing some of the sales that might be out there. I think what you said about you should check and see if that sale has basically happened every 2 weeks for the last 2 years at that store.
Right.
Because that might mean that it's kind of just always that price and it's not really a sale.
Yeah.
So there is some truth to that probably about what to look for when you're looking at what even is a sale in this industry.
Well, and we're, as you mentioned in the beginning, we're members of the American Gem Society, which I've been involved in with for a long time. And one of the things about the society, and we don't talk much about it on the show, but it is an integral in terms of how it's shaped me and how it's shaped our business, because in essence, why the society exists is it's an organization that retailers and suppliers can be a member of, but they all adhere to a certain code of ethics. And part of that was, and it was founded by a man in the 30s, because the pricing was discounting was very rampant back then as well, and there was no consumer protection on that. The client what does the client know? I mean, they don't deal in Periba tourmaline. They don't know, bad example because it didn't exist at that time, but yeah, thank you. So they don't know if that's a $10,000 stone or if it's a $5,000 stone. So as members of the American Gem Society, we can't do that. We can't say our price is $8,000, but today it's $4,000.
Right.
We would be kicked out of the organization if we did that. It's one of the beauties of that organization, and really as a retailer, I want all other retailers, my competitors, anybody else, I want to adhere to that same code because it protects the customer.
Right.
And so that's a really important aspect of that. And as you know, with us, we do a semi-annual, is that what you call it? Semi-annual thing for Bling Fest, where we do there's some discounted pricing that happens on diamonds and engagement rings, but really the main point to that event is we're bringing an extra selection, and we offer a little bit of extended financing for somebody that wants to spend a little bit more. But just be leery. My best advice is be leery if that place is always having a sale.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned financing.
It's not that they're not honest, but the pricing is certainly not. If they're selling it for $4,000 and that is the norm, meaning it's almost always $4,000 and not $8,000, that piece is worth $4,000.
Yeah.
If they could sell it for $8,000, they'll sell for $8,000.
Yeah. That happens. Tangent. That happens a lot when you're looking for beach vacations at Sandals, and you go to their website. Any time you go to the Sandals website, it's always 68% off.
What do you have against sandals? I don't know.
It's like everything's always on sale every time. But that's,
my man's too good for sandals, I guess. I don't know.
No.
I have enjoyed sandals.
As have I. I like it very much. It's just, I find it funny that every time you go there, 65% off, it's like, wow, I must have came at the right time.
I should book today.
Exactly. That's kind of the point, right?
Yeah. And that really is, when it creates a false sense of urgency, it is not doing you as the consumer any favors.
That's a good one.
Or when they say, last room left, book today.
Right.
They have
only 2 spots left on this plane.
That hotel has 10,000 rooms. You got the last one.
Congrats. All right. Next one, number 6 in our Google autofill questions, answering questions about engagement rings. Do engagement rings come with wedding bands? So package deal, you buy them separately. That's something I think people are wondering. Do engagement rings come with wedding bands? Like, do I have to get them together, separate? What's the deal with that?
You can. In our business, we call those sets. You can buy a set. We don't sell many sets at Jack Lewis because, and especially in today's world, as fashions and times have changed a little bit, that was really common probably when our parents got engaged. They would walk in, I guarantee you my dad had no concept of what my mom wanted in an engagement ring. He just went in and picked out a set. It was just, these are the two rings that go together. It had a round diamond in the center, and this is what it cost, Mr. Carter, and here you go.
Yep.
Today, we don't sell many sets because typically that's where they'll come in and have input again together. So they'll get engaged 2-3 months later down the road, they have their date set, they're planning their wedding. That's when they come in and they look at wedding bands for him or her, and then they look at bands that go with that engagement ring, right? And so stackables are a big deal. Might be a curved band, might be a band that stacks on both sides. Maybe they want something that, as I say, it's not matchy-matchy. It's not exactly the ring that goes with it. And the key to that is if the person wearing that engagement ring is super organized, super put together, and they want things just in their place, they're probably going to want the matching band. But that is kind of something that's fun to do together as a couple.
All right. So do they come with, do engagement rings come with wedding bands? They could. They can if it's a set.
Yes.
But typically, you should expect that you're going to buy those things separately. You're going to buy the engagement ring.
I think that will depend upon the store that you go to.
Okay.
In our store, we don't sell. We've tried sets, and we just don't. A lot of times what we were doing is selling the engagement ring, and then they didn't want the band, so then we had a bunch of bands that didn't go with certain rings. So we stock. We have a whole collection of what we call shadow bands, which are bands that for rings that have kind of an odd. They're not flat. They have a profile that kind of wraps a little bit. We'll have a couple dozen bands that we can put next to it, and maybe we can get lucky and pull one of those out of the case that looks nice next to that ring, so we don't have to have something custom made.
Yeah. Nice. Number 7. Next question on our Google autofill for engagement rings. Do engagement rings come with a warranty? So, what if something happens to my ring? What are the most, common reasons a warranty claim is made if they come with a warranty? What's the situation there?
Yeah, the most common thing that happens is you can buy a warranty at certain stores.
So the people who are Googling, does it just come with one? I guess the answer might be no, but you could kind of add that on.
There's 2 answers.
Okay.
You got to let me finish. It's called CarterCast. I'm the talent.
Can I finish, man? Can I finish? Right, go ahead.
Let me finish. That's the most common thing, is that you buy basically an extended warranty like you would on a car or something like that. And that's all based on value of the ring. The more expensive the ring, the more expensive the warranty.
Yep.
We don't do that. Our rings, as we always say, for side diamonds, if a diamond comes out, if you run over, we're going to replace that diamond for free, most likely for the life of the ring. If you run over it with your car, it's probably not covered. Just gonna be
what
honest.
if my dog swallows it?
Honestly, it's probably going to be fine once you find it.
Not for the dog.
Yeah, it's not going to be a fun process for anybody.
No.
That's the thing. It's going to be devastating when it happens, and then you're going to have to find it, and then it's not going to be pleasant.
No.
And we're going to clean it first.
Please clean it before bringing it into the store a little bit.
If you could clean it, I would appreciate that. But if not, that's fine too. We're professionals. I've seen worse. And so if the little side diamonds come out, and as I always say, when you look at little side diamonds, let's say something is set in a pave setting. Pave
sounds fancy.
It is. It's French.
French for
fancy
setting.
Yes, and it means to pave. So if you look at
fact check
I was not very good. I took French in high school, and I was not very good.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, my name was Jacques in French class.
Oh.
Yes, and so if you look at a pave ring under a microscope, it just looks like a cobblestone street, and how the bricks are just right next to each other, right? There's almost no metal holding those stones in place, so it's going to be common for diamonds to fall out inside the ring, almost irrelevant who made it, right? Pave is just not tons of metal holding it in place. So then what does the store do when that happens?
Yeah.
Right? That is something to ask. Do you send my ring away? How long does it take?
Yeah.
Does it take 2 weeks? Does it take 4 weeks? Does it take 6 weeks? That's a long time to be without your engagement ring. And if you're okay with that, then you just know that. But even sometimes if you buy that extended warranty, you still may go through the effort of being without your ring.
Yeah.
In our store, again, we don't charge for the warranty. We will provide an insurance appraisal for you to put on your insurance policy. So if the ring is stolen, it theoretically should be covered. Depends upon who your insurance company is. Sure. And if your center stone falls out, I saw you look at the State Farm. And if your center stone,
it's supposed to be a subtle plug where you take a drink at that point. Nice.
This is my Kermit the Frog face.
None of my business.
But that's none of my business. But if your center stone falls out, that's what you'll need the insurance policy for as well. So let's say if your 1 carat diamond falls out of the center, that is not something that we would cover. Our warranty is going to cover the side stones and things like that. Okay. We would do that all in-house. So the answer to your question is it can come with a warranty.
Okay.
Most commonly, you're paying for the warranty. In some stores like mine, it'll be included.
All right. Next question. Number
I'm giving
8.
you really wordy answers.
That's what we want.
Okay.
We're just looking to fill time. That's all we're doing.
You know I can ramble.
That is the goal. Next question, number 9. Number 8, I think. Yes, number 8. Do engagement rings set off metal detectors? People want to know as they're traveling, I assume, at the airport. What's the deal there? Do engagement rings set off metal detectors?
They shouldn't. Because precious metals just shouldn't.
Okay.
I say shouldn't, and I don't say no because there are examples. I wear this bracelet is 18 karat gold, and it's one of these that's like screwed onto your wrist, so I don't take this off.
Right.
For some reason, this sets off metal detectors, and as you know, I travel a lot.
Yeah.
And so I walk through and I try telling them.
Just have a card at this point, just give it to them.
Kind of, and I got used to being TSA pre-check. I just breeze through, and now I don't. Now I got to get searched every time. So it's like, how important is this thing for me to wear? I should probably take it off at some point. But this does it because it's a larger amount, but engagement rings shouldn't.
Okay.
And I get a side question here that's actually a very relevant thing back to your comment about sandals is a lot of times people are going on vacation to propose and the proposer is proposing on vacation. So we get asked all the time.
If they're in the line and they have to take it out because and she's right there.
We get asked.
Yeah.
What if he or she sees this ring when I pull it out? My advice always is, first of all, never bag check anything. Like, don't put anything of value into your checked bag. Like, rule of thumb, again, life lesson from Uncle Carter. Don't put things of value into your checked bag. It might get stolen. Back to your question. The more you know. It might get stolen.
It might, yeah.
And sometimes
keep it on your person.
Keep it on your person, and even flying, we have a wonderful Central Illinois Regional Airport. We should get a mug for them.
I'm sure
I love my Central Illinois Regional Airport here in Bloomington. But sometimes the planes are small enough where they do take any roller bag on your first flight to wherever you're going. So let's say you're flying from Bloomington to Chicago. They'll take your roller bag and check it.
Yep.
Don't put anything of value into that roller bag because you just never know. What I would do, for me, is you put the engagement ring into your carry-on bag. And when it goes through the metal detector, it should not flag anything, right? When it goes through the conveyor belt. Don't keep it on your person because maybe it does. Maybe metal in the box will set it off. That most certainly would. Yeah. So just put it in your carry-on bag. We have little flat, nondescript. You've seen those?
I think so.
Have I shown you those? Yeah. They're like an engagement ring box that fits into a jacket pocket like this instead of a traditional ring pocket, depending upon what the plans are. That would fit very nicely into a carry-on bag, and that's going to go through the metal detector. I have never. You got wood under here, right?
Yep.
I have never heard a story then where TSA did a search of the bag and then the person saw it and things like that. They're going to identify. They still may look through your bag, depends what else you have in there, but they're probably not going to pull that out because they're used to seeing jewelry and things like that in people's carry-on bags. But that is an even more important question to me because you could ruin the surprise and you spent all this money and all this time going to propose at sunset at the Sandals Resort.
And now all of a sudden you're forced to propose in TSA line.
That's not as good.
That's
not as good.
Proposing in the metal detector.
A word of advice from Uncle Carter, again. Don't propose at TSA. It's not as good as sandals. Sandals would be better.
But you will already have your shoes off, so it's kind of like you're at sandals. Just imagine.
You feel like you're at a sock hop.
Next question. Number 9, 2 left. This is my favorite one.
We still have 2 left.
Yeah, we do have this. This is my favorite one right here.
Okay.
So because I think what the person means by it as you're typing this out, I think is
okay.
So do engagement rings in our Google autofill for Google searches for do engagement rings. Do engagement rings have to be returned. So I think this is in the context of breaking off the engagement. So if you split up, what's the protocol there? Who does the ring belong to at what point in this process?
This may shock you.
Yeah.
I am not a lawyer. I cannot say.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't think I can give advice on that.
I mean, is it so if you think through it, like, is it the recipient's property at the moment that they accept it?
Yeah.
But then again, the whole point of that piece, that item, is that it's kind of a symbol of a future commitment that you will make. So would it only become the recipient's if they fulfill that obligation at that point of the wedding day? And up until then, it's just kind of on loan to them by the proposer.
Josh, I'm in the love business, man. I'm not in the divorce business. I'm not here to think about that.
That's a good point. If you're thinking about these kind of things I just said, why are you getting engaged anyway? You know?
Yeah. I look, if there needs to be an answer to that question, I think that it will depend upon where you live.
Yeah,
it does. I think that will depend upon your state's rules on separations and things like that. But again, nobody at that moment at the diamond counter, people aren't thinking about that.
I would hope not.
That question in Google autofill was almost certainly typed after somebody was engaged.
Yes, and no longer engaged.
Not while they were searching for the engagement ring.
Oh, you might hear that at the counter, though, right? Like, hey, if she says no, I can bring this back, right?
Yes, but that's more in the context, not of, as we talked about earlier, like everybody has always talked, you've already discussed, do you want to marry me someday? Right. The question there is, if I buy the wrong, I don't have any input from this person, if they say no, can I bring it back?
Right.
Because they don't like the style. Yes.
Right, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, for that.
Again, it would depend. There are small circumstances where it would depend, and the answer might be no, and that's if we created this crazy custom concept just for your beloved, and it's not what they wanted.
Right.
We're doing that. Maybe do some research on that.
Another advice: don't do a custom ring as a surprise. How's that? Right?
Yeah. Advice from Uncle Carter: never do custom unless you know for sure the recipient likes your taste in custom jewelry.
Last question. This is kind of a cold question coming off of it.
Well, your last one was very cold.
I'll say we finished on a very chilly note.
Was dark.
So this question, last question: do engagement rings hold their value? Probably the engagement ring part itself. So does it appreciate, depreciate, stay the same? That idea came up a lot when autofilling for Google stuff about engagement rings.
Yeah, and
what's the market for 25-year-old rings?
Yeah, right. That's an excellent question,
yeah.
And that is something that we get a lot. I think anybody that sells you a piece of jewelry, with some very rare exceptions. Jewelry is not an investment that you can. An investment to me is something I can expect to receive more than I paid for it down the road. Not guaranteed, but maybe a possibility. That really does not happen with jewelry. When we talked about earlier with the center stone having some value, you're not recouping what you paid for that piece down the road, but you're recouping something. Particularly for the center stone, sometimes for the ring, but it depends on who you're selling it to, right? So in our store, we don't typically resell jewelry in that way. So the setting itself, once it's been worn, for us that just becomes scrapped. So let's say 25 years down the road, somebody wants to trade in their ring to upgrade their center diamond. For us, the trade-in value that's a different story. So let's say somebody has a $2,000 center stone and they want to upgrade it for a bigger diamond. We'll give full value for what was paid for that center stone if it came from us. So we'll give you full $2,000 trade-in to trade it in towards a new diamond. Typically, somebody is doubling up in price.
Sure,
And realistically, you wouldn't trade in a $2,000 diamond for a $3,000 diamond because you wouldn't see the size difference anyway. You'd just be spending $1,000 for no good reason.
Right.
So you are probably doubling up in value. Exceptions to that can be if it's in the, if it's a $30,000 diamond, you're probably not spending. You could maybe get away with something that's not quite double. But the ring itself, once that 25-year-old ring that's been worn for 25 years, I can't just refinish that and put it in the case. There are scratches and dings in that ring that I can't possibly clean up and sell as a new piece of jewelry. So that really just becomes worth whatever scrap value it has, which could just be a few $100s for a ring. But no, you are not buying a diamond to sell the diamond and make money down the road. It holds some value. It doesn't hold full value, and you cannot expect it to appreciate, with very rare exceptions. And those exceptions would be fancy colored diamonds, really very rare, D internally flawless 4-carat round diamonds, or those sometimes can appreciate in value. But you're talking about things that you would expect to go to Christie's or Sotheby's and could sell at auction.
Right. I think we've answered all of Google's questions.
Yeah.
You will now become the autofill suggestion. Do engagement rings, John Carter.
Does CarterCast?
Does
That's going to be
CarterCast.
the new thing. This is going to be so big.
Be right back with a closing word from Carter, something we call the Final Facet.
Jack Lewis Jewelers engagement rings start at just $4.99 because size doesn't matter, love matters.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for watching another episode of CarterCast. We had some fun. Google autofill is a great topic. You can learn a lot, obviously, from the internet, but my advice is always, especially in the world of jewelry, is to find a professional. Find somebody local. Find somebody that you trust, that you know will help you make a wise decision. You want somebody that gives you the pros and the cons. You want somebody that shows you, here's where you should spend money, here's where you should save some money. Seek that person out. That's always going to be a better idea than just trusting the internet. Thanks, everybody.